Good evening, everyone, and welcome. It is 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time here in the United States, and you guys know the deal. It's either 4 or 5, depending on if I'm heading to the gym or not with my kids, and I will be heading to the gym at 5:30, getting in better shape to head back to Ukraine, wearing my U.S. Army stuff today. That's what I train in. So, guys, we have so much to talk about. I'm not going to belabor the intro. I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for being on my channel. Also, Professor Gerdes is joining me, which is typically becoming routine on Wednesdays and Fridays for the flag giveaways. And we co-stream, so I join him, he joins me. So those of you here on Professor Gerdes' channel, thank you for that as well. Thank you to the mods. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for all that you do. Continue to like, share, comment, everything that helps us grow. And I'm really learning that likes and comments after the stream, like tomorrow sometime or later tonight, are so important. And you guys do an awesome job at that. I see you in the live chat, and then 4 hours later, I see you make another comment. So thank you for that. Tonight, we have 2 patches, and one is symbolic. This is actually a patch I received from Mertzi yesterday. Beautiful patch. Mertzi, a U.S. veteran. And he has requested that I deliver this patch to fish. He says this reminds him, I guess if I can flip it the right way, fish and the outdoors. This is one cool patch right here. And this from Mertzi will be going to fish when I see him soon. Now, the other patch, I'm going to put Kremenoya patch on tonight because the Serebryansk forest right now is burning massively. And I'm going to show you some video on that. So here we go. Kremena representing, yes, this is one of only 10 of these patches in the world. I have one. Pete has one. Pete had 2. He gave me one as a bond of our friendship. So this is a very special patch for me. So here we go, guys. Let me get Professor Gerdes in here, and away we go. Welcome to you, Prof. Hold on. Welcome to you, Prof.
Hello.
Hey, brother.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Oh, we can hear you now. Are you preparing for a class tonight?
That's it. Yeah, I have a class in a little bit.
Okay. You look really good there.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Well, I'm just letting you know you have the nice shirt on and kick back in the chair and the whiteboard behind you. You're ready to roll. What class?
This is awkward. Let's just get to Ukraine.
I am, but I'm enjoying looking at you. What class do you teach tonight?
Servant leadership. It's a graduate level leadership course, and look at the servant leadership theory, Greenleaf, and then pivots over to Blanchard and Hodges.
Yeah, we'll get right into Ukraine. So, guys, here we go. Here we go. So I'm going to build a little story here. I'll put the slide up, make a comment, you respond. And that's the way we'll go through tonight. So news came out. UK defense minister says intelligence has evidence of Chinese lethal aid to Russia. And this is Grant Shapps, the defense minister, making these bold statements. China has begun providing military aid to Russia. This is reported through Reuters. And Grant Shapps and the UK intelligence. Shapps did not specify what kind of help Russian Federation receives from China. He just says it's coming, and he used the word lethal. Now, I will tell you this. I know for a fact over 6 months ago, guys on the front lines were showing me with my own eyeballs Chinese stuff. So I know it's there. Now, if they've increased that and now there's more, I don't know. But I think the cards are starting to fall that people are realizing we have a real problem here.
Well, China doesn't really want to have anything. China doesn't want to be involved in this. They want to make money. They want to play nice with Russia, and they want to play nice with the West. And they they want to be above it. They don't want to pick a side, but they're apparently still selling this stuff. And so it depends on what the aid is. If it turns out that it's like Chinese artillery, Chinese guns, Chinese. That's a little different than Chinese drones, which could be, well, where they're just drones. Kids are playing with them. I mean, that's a little different. If it turns out to be Shahed like drones, that's a whole different story as well, right? So, but they don't want to. They don't, from my read is they don't want to be involved, but they also want to make the money. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what comes out. I thought they would be smarter than that, than have something like this actually be able to come out. I thought they would at least route things through other places, or second, third tier kind of deniability. But
once again, though, I think time is, and I know not in reality, but the time scale of this war and what is going on in international response is escalating. And of course, that's why the title tonight, it's not clickbait at all, is Mike Johnson capitulating in support of Ukraine. We shall see. But I just have a feeling now that some Americans and other foreign leaders, like we'll look at Sweden Prime Minister in just a moment as well, are making some bolder statements because of things like this. Now, here's what I can tell you, guys. I need to pre-warn you. I use software to translate this to save myself time, and also my team there in Ukraine that does a lot of translation work for you guys that you never see. So this one, it translated the soldier's voice with a little like he's going through puberty. He's not. It's just a little high. So cut him some slack and the software, but you get the message. Here it is.
Actually, at the moment, the issue, I think, is mainly quantity, because over the last period of time, all types of weapons, such as FPV aircraft copters, such as Lancet, haven't really changed. They're just getting better, and they're finding certain new ranges to work on and get past our electronic warfare systems. Therefore, it's a great danger to us that their copters are self-improving, finding new methods to get past our electronic warfare systems, and they're succeeding enough. That's unfortunate. Nevertheless, we fighters of the Rubizhny Brigade also try to keep up and find newer options in some cases, flying far into their rear and destroying their equipment and artillery systems, etc. But you have to understand that the number of unmanned aircraft systems in Russia is 10 times more than in Ukraine, because they have partners in China. That gives them millions of components for creating unmanned aircraft systems.
Now that would, I'm sorry about the way his voice translated there, but you get the message. They are, I'm telling you, I've physically seen with my eyes Chinese components, but there's no different. There's American components in systems. I've seen Chinese body armor, okay, my own eyes. I have not seen, of course, artillery or anything of that nature, but you hear this guy saying the drone issue, and you get understanding here as well. He's from the Rubizhny group, that they're outmanned or outgunned on drones 10-1. I completely believe that. That is exactly what I've heard from frontline guys. And if China keeps supplying even components and Russia moves to war economy, it just helps them crank up their machine even more. That's my take on it.
First, I'm glad that you gave that caveat, because that was deeply distracting.
It was.
Hear him speaking?
I know, but I wanted people to hear him.
That's okay. That's all right. The second thought is that, so how is this different than Germany sending stuff to Russia, saying that they're sending it to one of the stands, and it's not actually going there, and it's like so. So there's this might be much ado about nothing at this point. It just, we have to wait to find out what are the lethal weapons that are being, because if it's just drones, it's going to be a yawn. If it's artillery or some other kind of weapon like that, that's going to be problematic.
Well, here's what I come back to, and we'll move on. This is not some reporter in Sicily making this statement. This is the defense.
I understand.
This is the defense minister of the UK. So for me,
nevertheless, we want to see what it is.
For me, we need to see what unfolds from it. But this carries a little more weight when this guy is saying that. That's the point. And I know Chinese stuff is there. I'm putting out a supposition tonight that because of this, rhetoric is beginning to change in people like Mike Johnson. So we'll see. Second thing,
I'm not sure that that's what's causing it, but the rhetoric clearly is changing, not just with Johnson, not just in the United States. Throughout Europe, there is a big, you can feel the push to say,
Mhm.
let Ukraine strike wherever it wants. It's coming. And there's a counter push where nuclear saber rattling is a consequence of this on the Russian side, because they do not want that policy to change.
you perfectly lead me into this. U.S. says Russia launched a space weapon in the path of an American satellite. We also know that Russia has been performing nuclear drills, saber rattling, doing their things. I grabbed this clip off some local channel here in the U.S., about 30 seconds, but it gives you a look, some videography to put together with this.
Sounds like something out of Star Wars, but this is real. The Pentagon says Russia launched a satellite into low Earth orbit, one that is capable of attacking U.S. and other satellites in that same space. Moscow and Washington have sparred at the United Nations, with both sides accusing each other of seeking to militarize space. Moscow has not commented on this latest launch. Military experts have warned space is likely to be the next frontier of warfare in an increasingly technology-dependent world.
So the bottom line is, this is the talk. And I think a lot of these stories are coming to a head at the same time. I really feel personally, and you'll hear Zelensky at the end tonight, guys. I always suggest listen to Zelensky. They got caught with their pants down in Kharkiv, and I think the concern level raised, especially with the infrastructure that is out in Ukraine right now, and it is out. They're having significant power issues, and they can't stop the glide bombs. So it's like the speed of this is escalating for us to get some clarity over the next few months.
So you just said they can't stop the glide bombs. So let's say an F-16 is in Ukrainian airspace. Can it fire at a Russian bomber that's dropping glide bombs?
That's the question.
Right. And so
until
they can figure that out, I think that's part of what the escalation is, because if they can't do that, what's the point? Well, like, you can just pack it in. They can keep pummeling you and you can't hit back.
Well, could this be why we're starting to hear some of this rhetoric? So my title today is a question.
Yeah, this is why. I think the bit in space, and the last thing that guy said was that this is the new next frontier. Yes, absolutely. Space Force, we were smart to be starting to worry about and think about what would warfare be like in space, and what if all our satellites were crippled. I mean, that's a very important thing. And I think, honestly, if something like that happened and we couldn't be on, there was a commentator, I don't remember where, but it's like, just wait till how the American public goes nuts when they can't get on Instagram because of, satellites being knocked out or some underwater cable or something. That would be about as big of a triggering event as I could imagine that could happen. That could be a thing that really shifted public opinion. And I don't see a nuclear something, but I wouldn't put it past Putin to try something here.
Well, Putin is a lover of himself, and I don't think he would go that route because he likes himself too much, but I'm not sure. All right, so that brings us to this. Prof,
let me add one more thing.
Yeah.
The threat here is as potent, maybe more potent than actually doing it. And I think Putin knows that. It's like the threat of nuclear. The threat of nuclear, it's like Marjorie Taylor Greene with the threat of vacating the speaker's position. The threat was more powerful than when she actually pulled the trigger. So this may just be that kind of scenario.
It's very interesting, we went from, and we're definitely not giving her any airtime, but we went from her in the call for the removal of the speaker and the call for the vote, and then today you have Speaker of the House Mike Johnson making a very bold statement, just walking down the hallway. I'm going to play the video, but I want people to understand something here, and you're the one to answer it. For American politics, civics, and governmental structure, that man right there is the third most powerful man in the American government, or third most powerful person. If the president of the United States died or was killed, the vice president assumes the office for the remainder of the term. There isn't a 50-day election like in Iran. Okay. If something happens,
let me change. Let me change that just a little bit. He's the second most powerful person. He's the third in the line of succession.
Okay,
so
thank you.
The vice president has very little power. The vice president is theoretically the president of the Senate, but she doesn't really do anything. No vice president. It's not just Harris. It's vice presidents are just like kind of the replacement, like the heir and the spare. It's almost like that. He's actually the next most powerful man next to Biden.
Okay, so the VP only becomes that second most powerful position if the one position is, passes away or something.
Then she becomes the first most powerful position,
okay.
but she does outrank him.
Okay, so in line of succession, he's third to the office of president. Okay, so guys, maybe you're here from, we have lots of European and viewers from around the world. That's how it works in the United States. This is Mike Johnson today.
Speaker, could I ask a quick question? Your colleagues from House Intelligence Committee, they just released a statement in which they're calling for administration to allow Ukraine to use American weaponry on the military targets on Russian territory. Would you support that? Because right now they have weapons, but they have restrictions to use that.
I think we need to allow Ukraine to prosecute the war and the way they see fit. They need to be able to fight back, and I think us trying to micromanage the effort there is not good policy for us.
So there you have it. I will suggest to you also, I do not have validation of this, but I know the accent well. That was a Ukrainian reporter. Absolutely. 99%. I could hear it in the voice. So interesting. What's your thoughts on that? Because we've went now from, he was labeled Moscow Mike, and he's the reason no aid went. And yes, he was. He did a lot to block that. Not completely him, but he was in the chain of events that caused that to happen. But now he's coming out and making a very aggressive statement that others do not make. What's your take on that?
There's a lot of cognitive dissonance here, isn't there? Like it's pretty jolting to go from we hate him to, hey, okay, he could be on our side.
Yeah, I don't know how that happens.
Yeah, but I think there's a broader something in the ethos about whether it's coming from the Senate or the House Foreign Relations Committee that just put out their joint statement yesterday urging that we change our policy. So then that's really Biden then who is the impediment to allowing the Ukrainians to attack inside Russia. I did a video yesterday about how, what is Biden afraid of? What's going on here? I just think fundamentally at a deep philosophical level, he is not okay. So Bush was George W. Bush was over enthusiastic, over optimistic about what we're able to do. Both Obama and Biden seem to be under enthusiastic or under appreciating what we can do. And when and I talked about this from H.R. McMaster's book, Battlefields, and he said something in there that if you're underappreciating this, you're not appreciating what, if you don't do it, happens, what the results of not doing, of inaction could be. Like our results of inaction in 2014 have been catastrophic. And Biden just has this, he's on that lower end, not on the overly optimistic hubris end that Bush might have had, but on the lower end, we can't do that. We don't want to upset them. We don't, right?
Let me ask you.
And so now if the ball's in the court of Biden to actually change the policy and he doesn't change the policy, what do we think of that?
Okay, let me ask you a couple of questions here then.
It's a really strange thing.
Do you think this is a genuine statement? I mean, the man made it it's global now in English. Is it genuine?
I think there's a genuine wave that's cresting right now in both Europe and the United States saying, give them permission to do that. I don't know if he is, in his heart of hearts, or if he would push it and whatever, but he's saying this with this wave of others that are also saying this around the world. There's something here.
could there be any political in this moving toward elections?
I mean, there's always something
I'm
political.
just trying to figure it out because like this is A to Z.
I don't know, but the real thought is, look, we just gave them this $60 billion. Let them use it to take the fight to Russia to do something with it.
So it's
again,
in the chat. I'm watching the chat. People are saying, well, you know, Great Britain did come out and say, use our weapons, hit them. And
yes,
now
Britain did it. And so it's easier for others. So the French, I'm trying to remember which part of the French government said yesterday or the day before, like, hey, why are we not doing this? We need to change our policy as well. And so I don't think it'll be, so once one country does something, it's easier, like the dam's broken, and it's easier for others to do it. Once one country has boots on the ground, it'll be easier for others to backfill trainers and other logicians and whatever else. Logistics, I'm sorry, not logicians.
okay.
This is my world. And so like, it's just like once it's at, but there is certainly, I can feel a wave of this being the push. So
this is
whether
why,
he's sincere or not, he's piling in. So
this
now
is why,
it'll be on Biden to change that policy.
And we shall see. This is
but
why
the Biden administration 3 times in 3 days. Today it was the Air Force general. I can't remember his name. Yesterday it was the Secretary of Defense, and the day before, a lady in, I think, the White House or State Department or something, all saying, no, our policy hasn't changed. Our policy hasn't changed. Our policy hasn't changed. After the Secretary of State, Blinken, said, well, you know what they do with it. I mean, we don't want them to do it, but whatever they do with it. And so it was like, hey, did he just signal a policy change? Well, they're coming out saying no. But there's this pushback.
the bottom line is, this is why I started with China supplying potentially, and it's from Grant Shapps, the launch of the satellite into the low orbit, the same as ours, plus, I haven't talked about it yet, but Ukraine really struggling with the glide bombs. It's a significant problem. Plus, Ukraine is basically de-energized. Not blacked out, but de-energized, where they can keep the lights on consistently on a schedule, and it's not going to change. And now we start to see this rhetoric change for the positive. Additionally, you mentioned others, and big shout out today, Sweden as well, coming in board. This is Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson with a message direct to Ukrainians. Dunk on you. I did not see the video that you mentioned in the chat. It went by really fast. No.
Dear Ukrainians, my name is Ulf Kristersson and I'm the Prime Minister of Sweden. Today I would like to address you directly, because you're fighting not only for your own freedom and security, but also for ours. Since Russia launched its full-scale invasion, we have provided Ukraine with 15 military equipment support packages. This includes air defense systems, combat vehicles, main battle tanks, archer artillery, anti-tank weapons, combat boats, and mine clearance equipment. Ukraine is also Sweden's single largest recipient of bilateral development assistance. And once Ukraine is victorious, Sweden will be there to help rebuild your country. Today, we're taking another step. Sweden's government, together with our cooperating party in parliament, have agreed on a new framework for long-term support to Ukraine, comprising a total of 6.5 billion euros or 75 billion Swedish kronor in military support to Ukraine from 2024 to 2026. This support will help fund long-term donations of additional military material and the purchasing of new material for direct supply from the defense sector to Ukraine. Ukraine's cause is Sweden's cause. We will support you for as long as it takes. Slava Ukraini.
I mean, for me, it's just another one. What a great message directly to the Ukrainian people, specifically calling out military assistance, a longer range plan, a significant amount, and the care for Ukrainian people and infrastructure. It's a strong message from Sweden.
So the closer you are to Russia, the more bad personal relationships you've had as country to country with Russia, the more sympathetic they are to Ukraine.
The bolder you will be.
Yeah.
That's why I call Estonia the Bulldog Nation. Let me grab this chat here because this is a Swedish person. Petra Olsen, I made a deal with me. I stopped smoking and eating sweets every cent's going to Ukraine. Petra Olsen, there you
Slava
go.
Ukraine.
Good on you, and thank you for that. Let's see here.
So listen. So Sweden's been invaded by Russia or the USSR. Estonia has been, Finland has been, Latvia has been, Lithuania has been, Poland has been, Ukraine's been, Georgia. I'm probably missing someone. None of those countries have invaded Russia or the USSR.
Correct.
So what's that tell you?
It tells you everything. It tells you everything.
So there's a reason that they feel like they do.
Yes, you're correct. Let me get a couple more chats here. Vigo, we've seen U.S., German, British, South Korean, Taiwanese parts and Russian equipment. That there are Chinese parts, not surprising. Completely agree. Plus other nations as well. I
have a guy in my chat. His name is Michael Johnson. He says he has some inside information.
Bring it on, Michael. There's a Wizard of Ooze. I'm trying to understand this comment. A quick caveat, though Ukraine is bipartisan, but the Conservative Party election launch event an hour ago, they led with an attack on RU, so this could be political emphasis. It could be, but the statement's made, and the Kremlin will hear it, and we'll see. Like we say, step by step by step, and that's where the truth comes. And a lot of people chatting about Russia trying to change the borders in the Baltic and the water borders, and now Finland's talking about it. Lots of you guys are chatting about that, and they've queued it up for me. You're correct. And some of that has to do with Kaliningrad there, north of Poland. We'll see. It's like, we've been doing this for 819 days, and now it's like there's some really big inertia happening now in the summer of 2024, and I still go back to President Peter Pavel of Czech, and he was the general of NATO 18 months ago. He called it. I have the video. It is documented for history. He called it. He said, by November 2024, we will know the result for this war. It looks like he may be Nostradamus. For sure, things are happening that way. Now, yesterday, guys, I showed you Vovchansk, and tonight we're not going to be going through the map. I have Professor Gerdes on here, and we're really talking about this stuff. But just so you guys know, I do want to show you a couple of things here. This is Vovchansk, where Russia is coming in, and I showed you a drone attack on a police car I showed you the result of it. And Ukraine had stopped evacuations in Vovchansk. They were able to rescue 10,700 Ukrainians. 100 as their numbers were still there and would be absorbed. They would be living under occupation. There's nothing they can do about it. And it was because of drones. Here is actually the drone strike on that car yesterday. I'll play it full speed and then I'll slow it down for you. Why am I going to show this? There's nothing, you just see the drone strike. No big deal. But, I mean, it is a big deal. But, I mean, there's no sensitive viewing here. But this is how dangerous it is. And I just feel that people need to see this. That's it. That's what happens. I will slow it down now. You now have seen it. Let's go down to about 20% speed. Watch. They're just out. There it comes. You can see the drone. And if I back it up, you can physically see the little quadcopter right there, like a DJI or some other type of FPV. And it's enough of that. But this is what Ukraine is dealing with. This was rescue missions, and it's nonstop. Over the last 24 hours, large Shahid attacks. Ukraine air defense did a good job, but infrastructure continues to be attacked. Odessa, Mykolaiv, Zaporizhia, Dnipro, eastern regions of Donetsk region, multiple places, Kharkiv, Chiguiv, and Sumy all struck. And even though most Shaheeds were taken down, there was still infrastructure. There was also S-300s, S-400s, and Iskanders flying. Just let me show you this. Let me show you this. I want to show you guys three videos, because I think also this plays potentially into it. The ecological disaster that is happening in Ukraine, Professor Gerdes, and I know you haven't been there, but you see our photos, you see the video. It's indescribable. When you go past the field and you see it littered with mines and the blown out shell holes, and it's every 3 meters. It's just, I look at that and I say, how can that ever even be farmed again in 10 years? It's an ecological disaster. And I think some of this stuff is being paid attention to, quite honestly. Let's do this. I want to show you 3 places. I want to show you Siversk. So just in case you guys do not know, and I'll do that. This is where the push into Chasiv Yar is happening. And this is the Serebryansk forest right there. And this is the city of Siversk. Okay. Kramatorsk, Slavyansk, Druzhkivka, Konstantinivka, and the loop road is just like this. Thumbs down. Okay. We're not looking and analyzing any movements or nothing, but I want to show you Siversk and I want to show you Serebryansk forest. Here is Siversk. This is the problem. They can't stop it.
Sure, of course.
They cannot stop it. 30 to 40 to 50 are being dropped on these locations. You say, well, is Siversk? Guys, Siversk is right here. And I've zoomed in for you.
So,
it's right here.
So what are they firing into Siversk?
They are leveling that city because they want it. So why Siversk? I'll show you. Of course, this is what they do. They create these loops. But if I come out just in general, here's Slavyansk, here's Kramatorsk, Druzhkivka, and Konstantinivka. If they can get on through Chasiv Yar and hold it, they're coming then
go to that road.
Yeah, coming through the north side of Siversk is very difficult due to the terrain, and there's lots of valleys and chasms, and it's difficult. And then you have the deep forest here coming out of Kremena. This is where Pete has done a lot of service early in the war. But Siversk is the only large city with a lot of infrastructure that would hold any kind of pushback into Rygorodok here, and then the main road that takes you right into Slavyansk. It's it. That's the only big city left. So they're going to level it. And it's already being leveled. We have friends in Siversk right now, right this minute.
So it's a Severodonetsk and Lysychansk of 2 summers ago.
Absolutely. It's Bakhmut, it's Avdiivka, and it's Vovchansk, it's Siversk, it's Chiguiv, it's Izum, and I can keep listing for the next hour. This is why I think, I'm just conjecture tonight. Is the world getting to where enough's enough and we've got to do something? I hope.
Yeah, but the question is why. I don't know the Chinese parts of the why. I think that the idea of glide bombs not being able to reach back and tag those glide bomb, the bombers, I think that would be a better explanation. Maybe the space could be a good explanation of like, let's not do that.
My point on China was Grant called it, not some reporter in Sicily. It was the defense minister
and that's fair. We don't know what it is yet. So, and if it is something significant, that's going to create sanctions with China eventually, and that's going to play out weirdly as well.
Big time. What happens if TikTok gets banned at the end of the year? I mean, there's a lot of things happening.
Good.
Exactly. I agree completely. Guys, here's Kherson. I want to show you one more thing. Here is Zaporizhia. And of course, this is the Eastern Front. Robotny is down here, just for reference. This body of water right here is the Kakhovka Reservoir. If I zoom out, you can see how big it is. If I zoom in, you can see how big it is. Massive, massive reservoir. And an ecologist from Ukraine made his first visit to this reservoir, and you need to see it so we understand the complexities of this war. It's not just frontline battles. Look at this devastation.
It's safe to say that such a phenomenon does not exist anywhere else on the planet. I expected that, but the only thing I still thought was that there would be more water. Somewhere you could see the reaches of lakes, some branches, but I did not take into account that the willow rose very high and it just hides any windows with water. They are not visible from here at all. That is a solid sea, a green sea of willows. I thought that there would still be some open areas, but everything is completely green. It's incredible. Almost 150,000 hectares of these now natural plantations have formed. These trees we can, even if I come closer, see. Here is a point last fall. It has grown to this place, and this is already a shoot this year. That is, here it is in the spring. Here is its height.
So I'm just trying to connect some dots today because I was really surprised when Mike Johnson said that. But there's a lot more to this war than just a battle and a bomb dropping on Seversk. But it's important for people to see the disaster that's happening in Ukraine. Sumy update on power, and I will show you this here. Sumy was hit. Once again, Zelensky talking tonight, and I will show you that video. He specifically says Sumy. We've been talking about it. Not doing map analysis tonight, but that's where the incursion into invasion north of Kharkiv is. And we know 100% there is a continual buildup on the Sumy border, and Ukraine will not get caught with their pants down this time like they did north of Kharkiv. They're going to be prepared, but there is enough substantial. Ukraine is having to call reserves in, all to Kharkiv and to Sumy, and they do not have the reserves. They're pulling them off of other lines. We know for a fact our friends have rotated, but Sumy is right here, and Konotop and Shostka, those two cities away from Sumy, now Shostka close up here to the border, both had power plants hit over the last 24 hours, and Sumy, basically the entire region went into darkness. So they are really, really struggling. Once again, this tends to give credence to this scenario that there will be some type of incursion. You soften up behind, you eliminate some power, you make your push. We'll see, but it's really a problem because all throughout Ukraine, I'm gonna give you the information on that, but all throughout Ukraine, power is a problem now, and that affects economics and factories and work, Professor Gerdes. They can't, they're struggling with power.
Sure, it's bad. No doubt about it. I just don't think that there's enough to actually do anything, to take anything. There's enough to put a real scare into them, but not enough troops build up, and Russia just doesn't have it. As far as I can detect, I'm not a military strategist, but I just don't see it.
You can think logically. Agreed. This is Chiguev today, and I will show you guys just so you know where it is, and just trying to give you understanding. This is every day in Ukraine. I will show you where this city is located, and I can tell you personally, I have been in Chiguev 50 times. So here's Kharkiv. You come right down the road to Chiguev. It's right here. And then from there, you head to Izum and down to Kramatorsk. That's how the road goes. But Chiguev was hit very hard. It was ballistic missiles. It was S-400s that were using ground to ground. 8 injured. That number is now went to 12. That is the picture of the school in town that was destroyed. That is not old footage or pictures. That's today. Adjacent residential buildings, shops, office premises, cars, administrative buildings were damaged in Chiguev. And I can tell you, just from firsthand witness, Chiguev is a destroyed city already. Kharkiv directly hit in the center, a bus, critical infrastructure off to the side. There was an electrical infrastructure system there, like a substation, that was also damaged. So it may have been the target. It was damaged, but we had the bus driver, his legs,
He's in bad shape. Yeah.
they had to be amputated. Businesses destroyed, homes damaged, 12 wounded. And I have the arrival. Here it is. Nothing, I mean, just no death here, but you see the arrival. Okay, so how would you like to be? How would you like to be driving around Kharkiv? Or
Driving
your
around,
city?
minding your business and seeing, I mean, that's harsh. I mean, but I mean, this is the state. I mean, when Russia comes in, they just bring misery with them, and this is why none of their neighbors want to play nice with them, right? I mean, why the Finns or not the Finns, the Swedes are saying what they're saying, what you showed.
It's we always want to share the truth. We want to give hope and help, but at the same time, the way Ukraine gets stronger is by the truth being shared. I completely believe that. And when the world sees, oh my goodness, this is what they're doing. When, for example, people that have questioned me in the US, I've been accused of being a Nazi because I helped the third assault or the Azov. I've been, everything. I've went through it all the conspiracy theories, all the right-wing Christian nut jobs. And I'm a Christian and I'm a Ronald Reaganite, but I'm talking about the far right-wing nut jobs that have drinking the Kool-Aid and are convinced.
They're not even far right. I'm far right. They're something different than whatever conservative is.
They're on Mars. Oh, thank you, Professor.
MAGA is something very different.
Hold it.
In
We
some
get
ways,
Gerdes
they
talking
actually
about
are
MAGA.
well.
Here we go.
No, but seriously, think about this. In some way, so I'm a free marketeer. I'd be all for free trade. What do we do? We change to USMCA. That's not moving further to the right. That's moving to something more government intrusion-ish. So they are more extreme. You could say that, but I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't use it in left-right terms.
Well, they are
They're
extremists.
different.
They're
There's some kind of parasitic nature to them that I can't quite explain.
We got parasitic from Professor Gerdes, and I would definitely call it a cult, personally. By sheer definition, it actually fits. But regardless, I've been accused so many times of supporting biolabs, bioweapons, Nazis, dictator Zelensky. I've heard it all from people that are my friends, to be quite honest. And it's been a very big challenge. But these are the videos I like to show them. I said, okay, explain that. Explain that. Well,
does it make a dent?
Over time now, it has helped some.
I mean, this is like
over
pearls
time.
before swine, though, right?
I
mean,
know.
Are they really going to hear it?
You're right. Listen, or they'll say this, well, Ukraine did that to their own city. I say, okay, you're an absolute idiot.
I mean,
I understand.
They're going to excuse it away.
I understand. But we keep showing it because truth eventually wins. This just some images here of Kharkiv for you guys to see. You can see here, look at the guys. I've seen these people before. Warkheim's prosecutor, Kharkiv region. That's a Ukrainian. That's not an international observer. That is a Ukrainian there documenting it for war crimes. This is the bus that took damage. This is the bus the gentleman was driving. He has lost both of his legs today. Now, finally, as we're closing the last two things, Ukraine update on the power grid. This comes today from Alexander Karchenko. He's the director of the Energy Research Center in Kyiv. He said, Ukraine struggles with national energy industry. We understood. And then he said, without one Additional attack on power plants and infrastructure outages are inevitable through 2024. The deficit in our system will remain for the next 2 years. Ukraine currently has lost 8,000 megawatts of capacity. The worst situation is in Kharkiv. The city has lost more than 50% of its heat and energy production capacity. That's where we're at right now. And they keep
But hey, why don't
attacking.
you have a truce with the Russians? Because that'll be great, huh, guys?
Exactly.
That's stupid.
Exactly.
That's stupid. I mean, you're going to make a deal with somebody who has no moral compunction about attacking civilians. Okay, see how that works out for you.
Let me get these.
Now,
Then we're
this
going to
has to
show.
be, there
Then
has
we're
to
going to
be
show
settled on the
Zelensky.
battlefield.
Professor's rolling today, guys. Let me get the Dunk on You 23. Thank you for that. Work got in the way, Slav Ukraini. And I know many of you have gifted memberships today. Richard Stevens, this is Johnson is bending only because so many Republicans are not happy with abandoning Ukraine. Your thought?
Say that again.
Johnson is
what?
bending on his support or his rhetoric only because so many Republicans are not happy with abandoning Ukraine.
I'd like to think so, but I don't know if I can prove that. So I'm not going to say yes because I don't know that I can prove it.
Okay, fair enough. Alexei Stoyanovsky, Ukraine's cause is Sweden's cause. I agree. Ukraine is destined to win. Therefore, Sweden must be destined to do so too. I would even take it further. Ukraine's cause is my cause and your cause. Super chat Miro, Sweden, from Miro, Slava Ukraini. Thank you for that. Let's see. Alexei. Greg, no one is able to come that close to filming Kakhovka Reservoir side. The drone threat is constant there just to show the drone attack. It is. But Alexei, there are certain places you can get there. I never showed it, but we were on it. It's extremely dangerous. And I was actually surprised to see the video myself, but for sure it's the Kakhovka. And I've been able to get to the Kakhovka myself just when we were there. So it is very difficult though. Correct. Have boots on the ground already happened? No. There's some trainers. There's International Legion. That's for sure. I've seen the trainers. I've met the trainers from many different nations, and I've seen the International Legion with volunteers. But official boots on the ground.
There are also soldiers at embassies, but that's not what we're talking about here.
Correct. Päivi, nice comment here, and then we'll see Zelensky and close out. We in Finland. Päivi, hello to Finland. I love Helsinki. People in Baltics know Russia. Why is it so hard to other countries to see them as they are, even if they've seen, Bakhmut and everything daily happening? Why is it so hard? Good question. Good question. Thank you for that. That's what we're trying to answer. All right. I always encourage you guys to listen to Zelensky. And I translate the ones that I think need to be seen so you can hear them. I'm going to play it. It's about 90 seconds. It was his evening address. I've consolidated it. He talks about a couple of things, and we'll get Prof's response.
Dear fellow Ukrainians, today at the base of the National Security and Defense Council and the General Staff, I've held a meeting alongside Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council Litvinenko, Chief of the General Staff Bargelevich, Deputy Prime Minister Fedorov, and Minister Kamishin. We discussed our Ukrainian production of reconnaissance and strike drones, our missile program, and our countermeasures to Russian-guided aerial bombs. It's a weighty topic. While we're seeing positive trends in terms of the drones, the missile program, there is still much to accomplish in countering Russian bombs. Today, we discussed the details and agreed there is no other way. Ukraine needs systems and strategies that allow us to defend our positions, our cities, and our communities from these bombs. This is our main priority right now. Regarding the frontline situation, General Sirski provided his report this morning. Recently, the main battle directions have not changed. These primarily include Pokrovsk and other Donetsk directions, as well as the Kupiansk direction in the Kharkiv region. We're paying maximum attention to the entire border now, and not only in the Kharkiv region, but also in the Sumy region.
So there you have it. Just listen to him. He says we're now paying attention to the Kharkiv region properly, and we're also paying attention to Sumy. He talks about the glide bombs. Those are the things that you need to listen to. Let me give a couple of last comments here. Super chat from random user 2004. Moscow Mike is useless. Him and Biden want to see Ukraine under Russian control. So he's putting him and Biden in the same camp, wanting to see Ukraine under Russian control. Rove.
I don't think that's fair. I think Biden is just too slow, and Johnson has been conflicted and both of these are being done for political reasons. I mean, that's what politicians do, right? They try to figure out what the best political strategy is, what's going to keep them in office, and that sort of thing. So, but as opposed to you and I, we don't have constituents that we have to worry about, so we're a little less filtered than where they are. So that's not exactly fair.
Horovi says Ukraine needs manpower and resources, but resources is key. I had no doubt Ukrainians will have manpower if they know they have resources on the ground. I completely agree with that. Completely.
So
here's John
going back
Hoover.
to the last guy.
Yeah.
Going back to the last guy, I feel his frustration.
Yes.
It's not fair, but I get his frustration. I understand that.
Random user, we got your frustration. John Hoover is in Ukraine. I will not give his location. He's in the Poltava region. He's giving his region at least, but I won't give his city. We're under a scheduled blackout right now in the Poltava region. May get power back after midnight. It's now in that rotation. Cheryl Waitley, huge supporter. Your flag's en route. Not sure about the doom approach. What I hear over and over from all sorts is all is lost. Ukraine should give up. Ukraine will never give up. Not sure about the doom approach. Here's what I can tell you. It's extremely difficult on the front line, and it's extremely difficult in mobilization. And they are now receiving equipment and some artillery and some shells, but it's extremely difficult on the front lines. So where do you balance not panic or gloom and doom, but balance it with the truth? I'm telling you, and it's not like, okay, let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. When's the last time you seen Fish on my program?
It's been a while.
Thank you. So read between the lines, people. That's not polite.
Busy.
Read between the lines, everybody.
Yeah, that means something different in different contexts. That's not
I
what
didn't
he
mean
meant.
that. Forgive me. Read between the lines, my dear friends. Wonderful community. You used to see Pete on with me about at least once a week. Now I'm getting a video clip here, maybe a live here and there. Let's read between the lines, guys. They are very, very busy, and these guys are fighting for Ukraine and for their lives every day. The war has escalated on all fronts. Don't take it from me. President Zelensky just said Donetsk region, Pokrovsk, Kharkiv, Robotny's already basically gone. Krinky, struggling. It's basically done. Kherson being shelled relentlessly. Now the Kharkiv siege. Warning about Sumy. This is why Ukraine needs support, and this is why, my opinion, we're starting to hear stronger rhetoric, and I hope it's backed up. That's where I say it. Okay, so let me explain this. Daughter of Texas won. Greg Terry experienced 1 million men have decided to sign up on the draft according to the new app they released. Okay. You're correct. But let me explain that to you. They have to sign up or they're getting a fine between 17,000 and 25,000 hryvnia in 60 days. It's not a, don't misunderstand that. It's not the app came out, oh, well, let me go in there and sign up for the Army. No. You either sign up or in 60 days, they're giving you 60 days. That's the truth. 17,000 to 25,000 hryvnia fine. Massive fine.
So it's like selective service. It doesn't mean that this is going to that million people are going to the front. It's just who's in the pool. And if you're under 25, you don't have to go to the service, but you will have military training. I understand. Conscript training, and that's good. Looking down the line, but yeah, I mean, it's not fixing it yet.
A really good comparison there with selective service, and I see in the chat people asking, "How much is that? How much is that?" About $650 to $700 would be their fine. It's very significant.
Enough to get your attention.
It's more than many. It's more than many earn in the month.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you see that. I just want to make sure everybody understands that app. In fact, I will tell you this. Zhenya and I talking a little earlier, and he says, man, mobilization's a challenge. I said, I know, buddy. I know. But they're working on it, and we're supporting them, and we stand with them. It's a challenge. Let's see. Your comment on this, and then we'll shut her down. What a great stream, everybody. Thank you, Professor Gerdes, and all the folks that are on Prof's channel as well. We love doing these co-streams together. Karine, Biden and the Pentagon are afraid of a power vacuum if Russia is defeated and broken up. They fear where the nukes will end up and in whose hands. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, I don't want Russia to break apart because I want Ukraine to get her children back, and I want them to have reparations and other things. I don't want Russia to collapse. So I don't want nukes dispersing, that sort of thing. Now, something that you said before made me think. I went over to my comments again. I do that periodically. So Tuco, thank you. And then there was another one, Magunda Surya USA. I don't know what I'm doing here. It's like they're trying to make me mispronounce something. But if you watch UA tubers, you'd think they'd be in Crimea this summer. Reality is that they're barely holding on. I think that's very fair, and that's why like those that are over hyping things, that's very frustrating to watch. You shouldn't be doing.
I completely agree with that comment, but I would put a caveat on that. Choose the proper pools to resource yourself out of, whether it's information or an ability to help financially or through donations or sending love and care. Choose wisely. We have partnered here with quite a number of really good channels that try to balance the truth and hope and reality, frontline information, photos, interviews, videos, analysis. We're here from all. If you just take Johnny, Professor Gerdes, myself, you're talking about some polar opposites, but we are so on the same team for this and working together and showing the power of people working together and focusing on what they agree on versus what they disagree on. So make sure you're finding good sources. Professor Gerdes' channel, of course, and I'm trying to do the best I can as well. And there are others that are in our partnership, really, that we're all working together. Pether Olson, thank you again for that super chat. Dunk on you, as always, my man, Michael Jordan, and the gifted memberships. Miro, once again. Leslie Bowe, gifting 10 memberships. Liz Mailer, member for 1 month. Can F-16 stop glide bombs? Yeah, they can, but what they can do is they can push the planes that are dropping the glide bombs back. That's the key. It's not so much about shooting a glide bomb out of the air. That's really not the story there. The story
that's going to be that's unbelievably unlikely to happen.
correct.
Just because of the way that it is, they can't track it or that sort of
Correct.
thing. So they have to go to the
it's
source.
I would never say no, they can't. I mean, maybe, but the reality is that's not the purpose. The purpose is to push all that stuff back, so that those planes are not shot down. And when that happens, it pushes back the range that the glide bombs can hit inside Ukraine. I remind you guys right now that if Russia releases a glide bomb up near a frontline position, whether on the border of Russia and Ukraine in Sumy and Kharkiv or down on the front lines and they're running close, they can slide that glide bomb about 70 kilometers with accuracy and precision into Ukraine. So if you push that back, now you've eliminated how far they can reach into Ukraine. Very important. Reb Tyree, member for 3 months. My conductor, thank you, my friend. You get that, Reb. Thank you. Once again, thank you, random user. Professor Gerdes answered your question. Blonde Bombsheller, your flag should be there. For cost of sending hugs from the kids. Thank you for your kids. Today's Wednesday. You might get your flag tomorrow. I don't know. We had 3 flags going out this week. So, oh, and by the way, Professor, did you see where one of the guys that are on our stream showed up at my office yesterday? He lives in northwestern PA.
I did not.
I got a call.
Did not.
He had mentioned he was going to try to find me and come down. And next thing you know, I get a call from my wife at the office and our staff there. And she goes, there's a guy sitting at our table eating lunch with us. And he says he watches you on YouTube. His name is Mertzy. So I go over and the man, hey, great guy. This patch.
You're famous.
This patch right here is one of his. He's an American veteran and he wants to go to Ukraine and volunteer. Got many skill sets. He's given that patch to Fish, and I will get it to him. But just, it was nice, to be quite honest, for Mertzy to come down. And yeah, there he is, Mertzy, Slava Ukraina. It's good. So it's just, once again, the beauty of people working together. So thank you. Well, I hope you have a great class. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night. Any last words there, Prof?
Just my normal closing, which is thank you for being the kind of people that care about Ukraine.
Thank you. And I would say Slava Ukraini, Geroim Slava.
Geroim Slava. And
I would say today was an important day. I really believe that. I really believe, and time will tell. We try not to prognosticate or predict. We're not Nostradamus. Debbie Heinlein, thank you for that 1999. Thanks for being you. Well, thank you for being you. And I think today may turn out to be an important day. Time will tell. My opinion. We'll see. Be blessed. Have a great class. I'm going to go exercise with my kids.
I will. I don't know about my students, but I always enjoy it.
I'm heading to the trainer and I'm going to get my sweat on. You guys be blessed. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.
Slava Ukraini!